What's going on, Warriors? It's your boy Kyle Sweat here with the FF Warriors podcast. I appreciate y'all for coming in. It's week 9 is finally in the books. I want to go over some waiver ads that you could look into for week 10, and also just we had some great performances here in week 9. At least one historic performance. We have a quarterback who is really up and coming in the ranks right now and just ascending here through fantasy stardom. And so we'll go ahead and get into that. Before I get into that, though, I want to first say a couple things about the channel and what we're doing here, and say I apologize for not posting here last week, and just kind of I'm pretty new to this. I'm not gonna lie, and this has all been a bit of a learning curve as far as podcasting, videos, editing, all of that. So I want to appreciate y'all for just being patient and with me through the process, and I just want to make sure we're gonna have an amazing podcast here, and I'm dedicated to doing everything I can to having the best possible product here that I can give, and want to try to help people win some fantasy championships. And really it's a lot harder than some of these YouTubers make it look like it is, and you don't really understand all of the real work that goes into it, especially when you work a full-time job, and it's just me going at it right now. So just want to say that I want to continue to do better and put out some content, and I'm switching to video now, and I think it's gonna be great here going forward. So again, I just appreciate y'all for staying here with me, and we're gonna get this thing going. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. First, I want to talk about a couple really great performances here from week 9. Mainly Joe Mixon, who just had an outstanding performance here. He was the leading running back here for week 9, and I'm pretty sure he broke a record for touchdowns, I believe it was. He had 5 total touchdowns. So the stat line goes 22 carries, 153 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. Then he had 4 receptions on 5 targets, another 58 yards and a touchdown. 59 points here in fantasy in this league, which is amazing. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen every week, or maybe even again this year, but man, what an outstanding performance for Mixon, and he carried plenty of teams out here week 9. I had him in one league where he definitely helped me win this. It was a pivotal week here for myself, and so that highlight Joe Mixon here for this week. It was outstanding. And just when we were starting to get a little worried about his involvement in the offense, and he blows up and reminds us of what he's capable of. So that was fantastic. Next, we got Justin Fields. Man, this guy he's going to be a stud. I mean, it's just crazy how this year has gone for Justin Fields. I mean, in general, this has been a crazy year. It's probably the craziest year that I've been a part of as far as fantasy football. So he starts really slow, though, and we're all just wondering if this guy's even a valuable or valid quarterback, just in general, let alone fantasy. And recently he's really stepped up and been on a tear. And I think he's been the quarterback 1 over the past 3 weeks. He was the quarterback 2 this past week because Mahomes came out on Monday and outshined him. But not to really take away anything from him, because he ended up with like 70 fantasy points here in this. I'm looking at this league that I'm a part of. It's a little higher scoring for quarterbacks, but I think you got in your standard scoring league about 45 points. So it's just an outstanding day, and I think that he's going to be somebody that we can definitely count on here, now and in the future, and it's only going to get better. And the Konami code that everybody talks about is going to be that rushing floor. He had, I think his main thing was the 178 rushing yards. If I'm not mistaken, that was a record, broke Michael Vick's record. So, I mean, this guy is just continuing to blast off. And, I mean, here, let me look on Sleeper. He's still only 41% owned. So he's definitely somebody we're going to talk about here for the waiver portion. So I just wanted to highlight those particular performances. And then you got ETN. He's continuing to do his thing after they got rid of James Robinson. His ETN workhorse season. 28 carries here in week 9, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions, 2 targets, 17 yards. So he's continued to be amazing with the opportunity that he's been provided. Kenneth Walker also performed very well here week 9, and he's taking advantage of the opportunity that he's getting. He's definitely in that RB1 conversation in dynasty formats for next year. Well, I guess even just now for valuing. 31 points on the week, 26 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 receptions on 4 targets for another 20 yards. So those guys are definitely doing their thing. Kenyon Drake had a nice game last night for the Ravens. 24 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions on 2 targets, 16 yards. Those guys definitely stepped up, and you got your other typical performers here. Nobody's really standing out. It's good to see Cole Kmet for tight ends. He had a great day, mostly because of touchdowns. He had actually 2 carries as well. 2 carries, 9 yards, 5 catches on 6 targets, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So it was nice to see him being involved in the offense there. He's somebody that I was definitely pretty high on coming into the season. So he's going to be a good add there. We'll also talk about him. There was a couple of injuries here that came out of week 9. Most importantly, Josh Allen. He injured his elbow. He was able to stay in the game and finish the game out, but that's something that's definitely going to need to be monitored. He could miss some time possibly, even though he was able to stay in the game and throw that amazing 70-yard pass there towards the end of the game. That's going to be the main injury from week 9 to look out for. And then also Aaron Jones got hurt, but they're not, it's not going to be serious from what they're saying. He should be good to go for week 10, but another player to look out for and monitor that situation. If he's out, then maybe A.J. Dillon will, he should be a very valuable asset here for week 10 at least, and we've seen what he's done when he's had the majority of the carries there. And I know he hasn't done anything in his role currently with Aaron Jones playing, but if he's out, then A.J. Dillon's going to be a man to own there. All right, so that's it for kind of a week 9 recap. So moving on, let's look at some waivers. Honestly, again, this has been a crazy year all around, and the waiver wire hasn't been as booming as we would typically see on your average year. There hasn't been a lot of waiver gems to be had here this year. So if you have had the few, then you're definitely reaping the rewards of those if you're able to get them. But as far as waiver wires is, let's start with, we'll do it position by position. Let's start with the quarterbacks. So as we already talked about, Justin Fields, he's going to be your number 1 waiver priority. You want to definitely add him. Like I said, he's on sleeper, only 41% owned still. So I definitely would want to go ahead and grab him. And he's going to be a very valuable starter here moving forward. Probably couldn't just be your quarterback. He's going to be, the way that he's been playing recently, he's an upgrade over a lot of quarterbacks that are out there. So if you're still playing like a Stafford or Goff or, even Brady or I think he's even outperformed Lamar this past couple weeks. It's been crazy. It's tough to sit Lamar though, but he has been outperforming him recently. So he's right up there as an option with that. Next would be Trevor Lawrence. He's been solid here. He has 16 plus fantasy points in 3 of his last 4 games. And it's due in large part to his rushing production. In week 10, he plays the Chiefs defense. And I think that he'll be able to give you a solid, safe, 18, 20-ish points, 15 at least, like say 16 plus in the past 3 out of the 4 games. So Trevor Lawrence. Also, we're going to go ahead and look at, there's really not much here else for quarterbacks. If Daniel Jones is still out there, you still want to grab him. He's been providing a lot of rushing floor, safe floor with the rushing. And that's kind of been a theme here for the quarterbacks this year. If you're rushing the ball, then you're a valuable quarterback this year more than ever. because honestly, these offenses, most of them have not been performing like on your typical what we've expected in the past. So that's going to be the quarterbacks here. Um, Also, forgot to mention that in the recap, most recent news here, Frank Reich was fired by the Indianapolis Colts as the head coach, and they replaced him immediately. Was on an interim basis. Jeff Saturday used to play center for them for many years. Great center, and he doesn't really have too much coaching experience. I don't think at the college or NFL level at all. So definitely raised a lot of eyebrows with that ad there, but. Another quarterback, what brings me to that point is another quarterback to potentially look at is Sam Ehlinger if they're going to continue to roll him out there as the quarterback, the starting quarterback. I mean, he could be worth a look. I feel like some things might actually improve a little bit with the change on the coaching staff. I mean, I could also see them kind of just getting back to running the football and trying to be more balanced. So I don't know if I would really prioritize Ehlinger at all, but somebody to look at, just kind of monitor, and if you have space, and stash him here in the end of your bench and see what happens. So they really don't know what's going to happen with that situation moving forward. All right, so moving on to some running backs. I think the number one running back that we want to add this week is going to be Jeff Wilson, who recently just traded to the Miami Dolphins and part of just kind of reuniting Mike McDaniel with some of his familiar previous players with the 49ers. He comes out in week 9 immediately, competes with Raheem Mostert for the job there. It had a pretty even split there. He had 9 carries for 51 yards and scored a receiving touchdown as well. I think that they're going to be a split backfield there with Mostert and Wilson, but Wilson, I mean, we've seen it in San Francisco. His, like I said, similar offensive play style here, same system. And the Dolphins actually have a very good offense this year, so there's going to be additional scoring potential once they get into the goal line or the red zone area and they want a running option. And I could see Jeff Wilson getting those opportunities on the goal line. So he would probably be like the number one priority out of any player this week. Especially considering, it's very hard to find a quality running back. I mean, it always is, but this year it's even harder. So if Jeff Wilson's available, you want to add him. A couple of higher owned percentage players, Khalil Herbert, James Robinson, just kind of like to mention it in case they're still on your waiver wire. You want to add those guys. They have good upside. I think James Robinson actually does have a shot to potentially take over the role there in New York from Michael Carter, or if not, get a majority of like the higher, valued touches, the goal line and the early down work. He'll probably sprinkle it in the passing game here and there. Khalil Herbert, I think he's already proven that he's the better running back in that backfield, and eventually I could see them giving him more of the carries there. And he's been very good with any work that he's gotten, very efficient. So if he's available, I would definitely add him, stash him on your bench. I mean, he might have he's had some games here, even when Montgomery has played, where he's been viable for fantasy, even as maybe just a flex option. So I would definitely add him if he's available. Another guy is going to be Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, that Kansas City backfield is definitely not one that's going to bring you a lot of value these days, and they're continue to rotate in a lot of guys, but Pacheco is one of those guys, you see him play, and every time he touches the ball, you can just tell like something's about to happen, or it could happen at any moment. He runs with some violence, and he makes some guys miss, and he pushes a pile, and I could just see him being the best running back out of their running back stable there. And if he had any additional opportunities there where there wasn't other guys mixed in as much as they were, then this guy could potentially be a league winner. So it's more of just like a speculative stash, just in case his situation becomes a little more clear, basically with lesser competition by injury or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that's going to be a guy that you definitely want to add there. As well, Isaiah Spiller, he's going to be the next guy up. He's really just a backup handcuff player but he's a very high value handcuff. He's a handcuff for Austin Eckler with the LA Chargers, and he's somebody that, I mean, you want the running back who's going to get the majority of the touches in that offense for sure. And Isaiah Spiller is definitely that guy. I mean, he hasn't really done much because he's been dealing with a lot of injuries. He's just a rookie, but hasn't been able to get on the field very much. But he has played more recently, and basically he's just a number 2 guy, and you want that guy. And then right now, this is just a time to, in general, get the handcuffs. If they're not already owned, you want to own them now because those would be the guys that would be your league winner and the guys that, everybody's going to blow all their fat budget on whenever that situation comes up where the starter gets, injured, and the next guy up is going to take over, and immediately, I mean, they're going to be usable. I mean, a lot of these guys even put up similar production to the starter when they get the opportunity, if not better. So you want to add those guys, just add them, put them on your bench, stash them. They're going to be very valuable. They might not get you anything just now, but they will eventually, most likely. So moving on to wide receivers. So let's start with a couple of higher owned guys. Just in case, just check your waiver wire. If they're there, you want to add them. Garrett Wilson for the New York Jets. He's now kind of really cementing himself as the wide receiver 1 there. He's been getting a lot more opportunities, especially since Corey Davis has been out with injury, which typically Corey Davis is the guy that Zach Wilson does kind of, he's like his primary guy. He's his go-to guy. He's a security blanket. He can throw it up there, and Corey Davis is going to catch the ball. So he's been out. It's been giving Garrett Wilson some more opportunities, and I don't know what they're doing with Elijah Moore, where they just decided they're not going to play this guy anymore, even though he's possibly the best wide receiver on their team talent-wise. I mean, of course, Garrett Wilson has something to say about that, but, I mean, Elijah Moore is very talented. So, it's very crazy that they didn't trade him and they're not playing him, and it sucks because he's a guy that I was actually really high on coming into the season. He was somebody I kind of wanted everywhere. And I'm glad that, I just for this sake that I wasn't able to get him in a lot of places because other people were valuing him pretty high. And it's definitely not what I foresaw happening throughout this year. Darnell Mooney is going to be the next guy. If he's available, some people dropped him because of the earlier performances from the first quarter of the season. But now that offense is kind of picking up. So Darnell Mooney, go ahead and pick him up, and he's going to be a solid player for you, maybe a flex play or a wide receiver 3 with upside to do more. Kadarius Toney, he made his Chiefs debut in Week 9. Didn't really do much, didn't play very much. I didn't really expect him to play very much, especially considering how slowly Sky Moore has been getting opportunities. So I didn't expect him to go out there right away and get 10 targets and blow it up. But I was pretty encouraged that he only played. I don't have the exact snap percentage right in front of me, but he only played, I think it was in the 20s. Hold on, let me see if I can find that real quick. It was a very small snap percentage. And on that snap percentage, he already got 2 targets and got 2 receptions. Let me see, let me get the exact. Okay, so he actually played only 9% of the snaps. 9% of the snaps. And he got 2 targets on 9% of the snaps. Caught both of them. 12 yards. So 6 yards per catch. So that's pretty encouraging to me that he's already on just 9% of the snaps, got 2 targets. So he's somebody that, if he gets opportunity, he has the electric ability to, not be Tyreek Hill. I don't think anybody's going to be Tyreek Hill, but, he has some of those elements that they're missing from Tyreek Hill being gone. So he's definitely somebody that could be a league winner, high value stash, speculative ad, whatever you want to say. Go grab Kadarius Toney. He's healthy now. You just got to ride this wave while he's while he's healthy and working his way into more opportunity there. So the next guy is going to be Rondale Moore for the Arizona Cardinals. He's rostered only 16%. I mean, this is more. I mean, he hasn't done too much. I mean, he's had one or two good performances, and then he'll disappear for a while. So he's very, you know, very boomer bust with Moore, and really not that consistent with his production. Just looking back, so the past 2 weeks he has been solid. Last week, he ended up with 14.9 points. He did have 10 targets, 8 receptions, 69 yards. So that's actually pretty solid. He's still getting opportunities the past couple weeks. So, and the week before that, week 8, he had 23.4 points, playing 99% of the snaps. So he's playing a lot. Got 8 targets that week. So he has had some pretty good targets the past couple weeks actually. So he's going to be a really good ad for you if he's still out there. Joshua Palmer is going to be the next guy, wide receiver for the LA Chargers. So he's kind of like the only healthy guy in town right now besides DeAndre Carter. And this past week, he took advantage of that extra opportunity. He gave some. He had 10 targets, 8 catches, 106 yards. So definitely had some good production on the targets that he was given, and he's going to continue to keep doing that, especially if Keenan Allen's still going to be out for his hamstring. And I don't know when Mike Williams is coming back. He probably within a week or so, but he'll probably still be, reliable even when Mike Williams is back and even when Keenan Allen is back. I think that he'll still be fantasy viable. Of course, not as good with less opportunity, but he's somebody that's not just a right now ad is what I'm getting at. Terrace Marshall is going to be the next guy here. So he's kind of just been picking up, getting a lot more opportunities here with the Carolina Panthers. So he's definitely the number 2 wide receiver there. He's been picking up. He's had 12-plus fantasy points in consecutive games as a wide receiver too. He's been playing more ever since Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey were traded away. And, I mean, the quarterback situation is definitely not ideal, and we don't even know what's going to happen so far. Right now, P.J. Walker is still starting, and he's been, okay, and the fantasy options have been a little bit better with him starting. He had a bit of a rough game here this past week, though, and I think, what's his name? Steve Wilkes, the coach, interim head coach, said that Walker's still going to start for now, but they did, they are activating Sam Darnold here soon. So he will be in the mix as well as potentially being the starting quarterback moving forward. And then as far as a couple of deeper ads, if Treylon Burks is still available, he's been hurt, but he should be coming back off of IR here soon. If he's available, he has a lot of upside and opportunity there. I mean, Robert Woods, Westbrook Akine is not doing anything, so nobody's really doing anything there. It's just straight Derrick Henry show, which, I mean, it's still always going to be Derrick Henry as the primary, offensive producer, but you still have to throw the ball. So I think Treylon Burks is going to have some opportunity. I know Malik Willis, I don't know if he's going to continue to start, and he looks like he has some potential. He needs to kind of put it together, missing some throws, but I mean, I think that there is some room to grow here in Treylon Burks, and especially if you're in a dynasty or a keeper league, then I mean he's probably not even available. But if he is, then absolutely he needs to be owned. So I would check that. And Romeo Doubs actually got hurt this past week as well, and what's his name? Christian Watson, the other rookie wide receiver, he just can't stay healthy. He continues to come back and leave with an injury basically 2 plays later whenever he plays. So they're going to need somebody to throw the ball there too besides Alan Lazard and Samari Toure. He kind of picked up there a little bit of the slack, and he might be somebody that's going to get some additional opportunities there. I don't really know what's going to happen. Right now it's only Alan Lazard is startable. But somebody's going to emerge from these wide receivers because they need somebody. I can also see Tanyan getting some additional work there. So that's going to be it for the wide receivers. Moving on to tight ends. The main tight end to add is definitely going to be Greg Dulcich. He's coming off his bye, so some people may have dropped him. He's got a low roster percentage, so he should be available in majority of the leagues. And right now, he's been very consistent with his opportunities ever since he came back. His game one coming back from injury this year, he immediately scored. He's been solid every week. Nothing spectacular as far as boom performances. No 20-point performances or anything like that. But he's a tight end that's going to get you 10 to 11 points a week easily. I mean, that's what he's done so far. So, and Russell Wilson does enjoy throwing to his tight ends, and he's going to continue to get opportunities there. And he's passed his bye, so you don't have to worry about needing a tight end for the rest of the year as long as he stays healthy. And Cole Kmet, as we spoke about earlier, he bounced back, had the performance that we've been wanting for a long time. Now, of course, I can't see him catching 2 touchdowns every week, but he's getting involved in the offense. He's getting, I think he had 5 or 6 targets here this past week. Got the 2 touchdowns. That offense is ascending. They're putting the ball in Justin Fields' hands more to win the game, whether it's through the air or with his legs. But Cole Kmet is now becoming more involved, and he's somebody that I would look at for your lineup there. And then the last one for tight end is going to be Cade Otton. That's going to be the guy that I would want to add as well. He would be number 2 behind Dulcich for sure, but he's up there. He's being used consistently throughout the game. He's getting very decent target volume. He's been playing a lot of the snaps, majority of the snaps. And just this past week, the Week 9 game, Buccaneers needed that game really badly to kind of right the ship, no pun intended. And Cade Otton is the guy that kind of was the hero, and he came through, and Tom Brady trusts him, is going to continue to work him in the middle of the field, and he has some vertical threat as well to his game, and he's going to be valued in this offense. Of course, there's a lot of targets there, so I mean he might not have the most consistency, but he does have that ability to provide some boom games as well, and he's been fairly consistent actually. But I can see sometimes where the offense just isn't performing well, and there is other guys that are going to kind of demand the ball a little bit more. Maybe they have a better matchup. And so, I mean, it's not going to get you 15, 20 every game, but he's been getting 10 to 12 pretty consistently. And for a tight end, you can't really ask for that much more than that. So that's going to be it. I mean, I don't really go over defenses typically. If I had to throw one out there for this week, I'm liking the Las Vegas Raiders defense this week, going against the Indianapolis Colts. I'm also liking the New York Giants this week. So that's a couple streaming options for you. That's going to do it for the waiver wires. Like I said, I'm going to continue to improve and do more videos, and now we're doing video format, and you tell me what you think about it, and I'm going to continue to do more. And always reach out to us on, we have the email, it's ffwarriorspodcast@gmail.com. Reach us on our Facebook page, FF Warriors Podcast. Basically anywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I'm there, FF Warriors Pod, or podcast. It's FS Warriors Pod on Twitter. So go ahead and give me a follow. Ask me any questions. If I start getting some questions or requests, and I'll talk about it on the video, or whatever the case may be. But go ahead and follow us, like us, comment, support. I appreciate it. Any feedback, definitely appreciate it. I want to continue to do better, and like I said, try to win some championships. So until next video, peace.